A very good day to all. Now, for next 2 days, we'll go through with horticulture and post-harvest technology. Let's introduce our today's first speaker, Dr. Akshay Chittora, subject matter specialist in horticulture, posted at KVK Dosa. He has completed his doctorate in horticulture from MPUAT Udaipur. He has completed his master's in vegetable sciences from GBPUAT Pantnagar. He has cleared his ASRB NET in 2015. He is awarded with gold medal for his graduation, published 11 research papers and 18 technical articles. He is going to deliver his lecture on propagation techniques in horticulture crops. Hope you all learn through his words.
Hello.
हाँ जी सर स्टार्ट करिए आप।
Okay. Hello and welcome. Namaste to all. Uh, I am Dr. Akshay Chittora, working as a SMS horticulture at Sachi Vigyan Kendra Dosa. And I am going to present a very important section of horticulture, that is propagation in horticulture crops. Okay, next. Next. Next, लीजिए sir. Okay. So first, an introduction of the topic, we should know what is propagation. In simple way or in simple words, we can say plant propagation is the process of creating or growing new plants, and it can be done from a variety of sources. It can be done it can be done with seed or stem or other parts of the plant. There are mainly two types of propagation are there. First one is sexual propagation and second one is asexual propagation. Sexual propagation is simply the growing or propagation of plants by seed, and asexual propagation is the type where other parts of the plant are used for growing the plant. There are several, there are many types of asexual propagation like division, cutting, snaring, budding, grafting, and tissue culture will follow. Next, first we should know about the difference between sexual propagation and asexual. Sexual propagation is simple and easy. As I said that sexual propagation is the growing of plants with seed. So it is a simple method and easy to follow. While asexual propagation will need some special skill to practice. Sexually propagated seedlings or the plants which are grown with seeds are long-lived and they have more tolerance to the adverse climatic conditions. Hybrids can only be developed with with using of seed only. We cannot develop hybrids without using the seeds. As we know that for making hybrids, the fusion of male and female gametes or the parental gametes is necessary. So hybrids can only be developed through sexual propagation or seed method, while we cannot develop hybrids through sexual propagation. Sexual propagation is the source of diversity or variation. If we grow plants by seed, there will always be some variations, and those variations are the need of varietal improvement or plant improvement or genetic improvement. While if we propagate the plants with asexual means or vegetative means, that there will be no variations in the plants. The plants will be all plants will be of same. All plants will be similar to the mother plant. In sexual propagation, sometimes polyembryony occurs or sometimes apomixis occurs, and in these two conditions, two type plants are produced. Polyembryony is the condition when more than one embryos are formed in seed, and they will need to develop. They will need in development of more than one plant. Sometimes we see that if we grow mango seed, then more than one plant germinate from a single seed. So that condition is polyamine. That is found in mango, citrus, and jam. Apomixis is a process where without fusion of male or female gametes, the new plants form. Sometimes it occurs in some plants that like the apple and pear. So in these two conditions, if we grow the plants through seeds, so those plants will also be of fruit to type. There will be no variations. Next, if we know next to know that seedling or seed grown plants are not true to type, as I have told earlier, that asexual propagated plants are true to type, while seedling plants are not true to type. Sometimes we need the plants as for example, if you have a good variety plant which is very good, which is having very good production, and you want the next plant its daughter plants to be the same. So then asexual propagation method is important, and asexual propagation method will be followed. Seedling plants will have long juvenile phase, or it is said that seedling plants are come to flowering later than the vegetatively propagated plants. For example, if we grow mango with seed, it will come to flowering or fruiting first time in uh, 5 or 6 years or more years. But if we grow mango with grafting method, then the plants will come to flowering or fruiting from second or third year of planting. That is the difference. Seedling plants are tall and spreading in nature that will be difficult to handle, while asexually propagated plants are smaller in stature that will be easier to handle. Sometimes there are some species or some plants whose seeds lose their viability after after the extraction very soon. For example, if you want to grow the seed of citrus, then you have to citrus or lychee, then you have to grow the seed just after the extraction of the seeds. You cannot grow after some hours of extraction of the seeds because they lose their viability. So in that condition, seed propagation becomes a major limitation. Further, asexual propagation. Further for asexual propagation, uh, the desirable characters of mother plant can be perpetuated or can be retained for further use. And it is possible to repair a damaged portion of plant through grafting method or through vegetative propagation. And it is also possible to convert a non-productive plant into a productive one. That is done with the method of top working, and you can grow more than one variety or more than one variety plants on a similar plant through the method of grafting or through the method of budding. So, and in some fruit plants like pineapple and banana, the growing of plants with the seed is not possible. So in that condition, seedling asexual propagation becomes very important, and in those plants, only asexual propagation method can be used. Okay, this is the basic difference and advantages and disadvantages of both sexual and asexual propagation methods. Next, next is now first propagation method is sexual propagation. As I told that sexual propagation is the multiplication or growing of plants with the use of seeds. And in this process, how seed is formed, this is very basic thing that seed is formed after successful pollination and fertilization, and when the after the fusion of male and female gametes. And during this process, meiosis uh, meiosis cell division takes place, and in the duration of meiosis, there is crossing over takes place between male and female. So due to that crossing over, variation occurs on the next generation plant. So this crossing over is the reason for uh, variation in the plants which we are producing through seeds. Examples of sexual propagation are papaya, acid lime, and cocoa. Next. Now, success of seed propagation or success of using the seed depends on the using of seed of depends on several factors like using seed of proper genetic purity. We should use a seed of good quality or seed of good purity and manipulating seed dormancy by applying pre-germination treatments and providing proper environment to the seed. Now, seed dormancy is the which comes here. Seed dormancy is a condition when seed is unable to germinate even after getting the favorable conditions. There may several reasons for this condition, like there are internal factors or external factors. Internal factors include hormonal situation of the plant, and external factors include uh, seed coat or any other external factors. For example, in the seed of Aula and Bay, there is a hard layer of seed coat. So there will be a, there will be dormancy, and we have to we have to overcome this dormancy before growing the seed. So there are many methods for breaking or overcoming this soil dormancy, like uh, like applying cold temperature, like applying chemicals, like applying uh, growth hormones. So this becomes the knowledge of this sort seed dormancy becomes very important if we are using the seed as a propagating material. Next, now asexual propagation parts. Okay, next. Asexual propagation, as I told you earlier, that asexual propagation is the propagation or growing of plants with with the with with the vegetative parts of the plant. So it may be done in various ways. And first method of asexual propagation is cuttings. Cutting is the separation of any part of the plant and planting it in a medium, and that will develop into a new plant. And it may be a stem, it may be a leaf, or it may be a root. Generally, talk if we talk about cuttings, main things which comes into our mind is the stem cutting. That this is a stem cutting. But cuttings can be taken from the stem, can be taken from the leaf, or can be taken from the root. So stem cuttings, first and most important type of cutting is stem cutting, and which are four types, which are shown in this slide. First one is hardwood cutting, second some semi-hardwood cutting, and softwood cutting, and fourth is herbaceous cutting. Hardwood cutting is the most important one cutting and most commonly followed cutting. Uh, Hardwood cutting is the cutting or stem portion of the plant, which is taken from the 1 year old shoot of the previous season growth. Okay, so hardwood cutting is taken from the 1 year old shoot, and it is taken in the dormant season, and it is followed in some fruit crops like Karonda, fig, grape, and pomegranate. Semi-hardwood cutting is same as the hardwood cutting, but it is taken from the partially matured shoot. Uh, it means the shoots which are mature, but they are still green. Normally, we can say that 6 months or nearly 6 months old shoots are taken for the hardwood cuttings, and some there special environment will be needed for rooting of these cuttings, and this can be semi-hardwood cuttings can be taken in mango or guava. Next is softwood cutting. Softwood cutting is taken from the soft and succulent shoots of the plant, and they are rooted under controlled humidity or mist chamber conditions. Normally, we say that softwood cuttings are taken from 3 months old shoots, and this can be taken in cashew nut, apple, pear, apple, and peach. Fourth type of stem cutting is herbaceous cutting, which is taken in the succulent and non-woody plants. Uh, for taking the herbaceous cuttings, uh, succulent shoot is taken with along with the leaves. Let's come back to that. Along with the leaves, and these cuttings are uh, rooted under high humidity conditions. Like Chrysanthemum carnation is an example of herbaceous cuttings. These are also known as sometimes also known as terminal cutting, because the terminal portion of the shoot is taken for uh, planting or taken for propagation. So these are four types of stem cuttings. Most important one of stem cutting is hardwood cutting, that is normally taken in this deciduous type of plants, while semi-hardwood cutting is taken in the evergreen type of plants. Next, next, this slide is showing various kinds of uh, stem cuttings. Various photographs are there. Now, practical portion is that how to prepare cutting or how to take cutting from the plant. First step is the selection of branch. It depends on the and how cutting is taken. Cutting is taken always making a slanting cut at the base of cutting just below the node. As, as you are seeing in the picture, that lower portion of the cutting is having a slanting cut. Slanting cut is given to provide more surface area for rooting. When it will planted in the soil, it will get more surface area for rooting. Then these cuttings can be treated with rooting hormone, and most important rooting hormone is indole butyric acid (IBA). And this rooting hormone can be applied in powder form or can be applied in liquid form also. For liquid form, normally 2000 to 5000 ppm solution is prepared, and the lower portion of cuttings are dipped in the solution for some time, and then they are planted in the growing medium. After the treatment of the cuttings, they are planted in the bed or in the poly bags or in a medium in slanting position. Next, next type of cutting is leaf cutting. Leaf cutting is taken in those plants where vegetative buds are present on the leaf margin. If you observe a plant of Bryophyllum or Patthar Chatta, then there are buds on the leaves. So these buds can be taken for propagation as a cutting. They can be planted in soil, and they will develop into a new plant. This this leaf cutting is used more useful where in those plants where other methods are not so economical, or in the condition when we have limitation of planting material, when planting material is scarce in quantity. So this leaf cutting can be taken, and this leaf cutting is followed in succulent type of ornamental plants like Bryophyllum, Sansevieria, Rhododendron. So you can see in the picture that the cuttings of the leaves are planted in soil and they will develop into a new plant. Next. Next type of cutting is root cutting. If if we take the portion of root as a cutting, then it will known as a root cutting. And root cutting is a good method of propagation in those plants which are difficult to propagate by the other methods. Where other methods fail to germinate or fail to give new, fail to succeed, then root cutting can be taken, and it is more useful in those plants which produce the suckers freely. मतलब which which plants which produce suckers more suckers, and roots of 1 centimeter thickness and 10 to 15 centimeter length can be taken and they can be planted in medium, in growth medium. Some examples are there of root cutting like blackberry, raspberry, fig mulberry. So this was all about cutting portion. Next, next. Next method of propagation, asexual propagation, is layering. Layering is a method of propagation where portion of mother plant goes to produce roots while this is still attached still attached to the mother plant. It means we do not separate the part from the mother plant. In cuttings, what we do, we cut the shoot, or we cut the leaf, or we cut the root, and then we plant in the soil. But in layering, we will develop roots, or we will develop new plants. We will not separate the plant part, and we will develop new plants on the same plant. So, and after when this shoot is germinated or rooted, then it can be separated from the mother plant, and then it can be planted in the field. There are various types of layering, like simple layering, serpentine layering, tip layering, trench layering, air layering, and mound layering. And examples are given in this slide. The name or type it is given on the basis of the how we are layering or how we are using this process. Next slide, I will tell you next slide. Next. Next, Lizzie. See, if we see tip layering, first we talk about tip layering. Tip layering is a method. How tip layering done? First, we select a branch which is near to the ground and which is flexible, and its tip portion is buried into the ground. Tip portion. Tip portion we are using for rooting. That's why we are calling it tip layering. Tip portion tip portion of the branch is uh, buried in the ground and it is bounded. Bounded means some piece of bark is removed from the shoot. And from this bounded place, new roots will emerge and new plants will form at this part. So we are using the tip portion of the plant for layering. That's why we are calling it tip layering. In simple layering is same as the tip layering. Just where no tip portion is not taken for layering. Any part of the shoot can be taken. Any part of the shoot can be buried into soil, and it can be forced to develop new. It is simple layering. Third one is serpentine layering. In simple layering, we develop only one plant, but in serpentine layering, we can bury various portion of a stem, various portion of a shoot into the ground, and from those portion, different plants will emerge. So from a single shoot, many plants can be layered, many plants can be produced. Next, trench layering. Trench layering, why it is called trench layering? Because we make a trench and then we bury or we bury the whole branch, or sometimes we bury whole plant into that trench. And after some time, the new plants or new growth will emerge from the nodes of that shoot. So from that trench, many plants will emerge. So we are using the trench. That's why we are calling it trench. Next one is mound or stool layering, which is an important type of layering, which is followed in mainly in guava. We will talk about it in next later slide. So these names of layering depends on the which portion of branch we are using for layering, or which portion of branch we are forcing to produce new plants. Next region. Among all these layering methods, only two methods are very much important. First one is air layering method, and second one is mound layering or stool layering. So I will talk about these two layering methods in detail. Air layering, what is air layering? In air layering, first a branch is selected, 1 year old branch is selected. A pencil thickness. If you see a pencil, uh, means the thickness of this thickness of our index finger or thickness of a pencil or a pen. That branch is selected, and a ring of bar, about 1 inch long ring of bar, is removed from that branch. After removal of the branch, sphagnum moss grass. Sphagnum moss grass is the type of grass uh, which has the high water retention capacity. So it is used to moist the those part, and it is used to avoid desiccation in that portion. So sphagnum moss is taken and that is wrapped in that ring of bark, ring of shoot, and it is wrapped with covered with polythene and tight. After some days, you will see that the new growth will emerge, or new roots will develop from that portion. Normally, it happens in 45 days. Sometimes it happens in 50 days or 60 days. So after some days, when the new growth is emerged, this sphagnum moss and polythene can be removed, and this portion can be separated from the plant, and it can be planted at a new place as a new plant. It will develop into a new plant. So this is a simple way of layering, which is an important method of propagation in some fruit plants like lemon, like pomegranate, like lychee. Lychee it is very much important propagation method. Next propagation method is mound or stool layering. And what is how it is done? First you see the first first step is to selection of mother plant, or growing of mother plant, and after 1 year, at the age of almost 1 year, the top of the mother plant is cut back. The mother plant is cut back at a height of 5 to 10 centimeters. As you see in the B number, B step, that plant is cut back at 5 or 10 centimeter height. And cutting, after some days, some branch or some rooting new growth will emerge from this shoot, and at this stage, soil is put over on the around this growth or around this stem. मतलब उसको soil से ढक दिया जाता है. Then after some days, new plants will emerge from the rooted portions, and these new plants can be separated from this plant. They can be planted as a new tree in field. So this is please back जाइए, please back. Mound layering is an important method of commercial method of propagation in guava. And sometimes and it is a method of propagation in clonal in apple root stocks. Now natural modifications of there are some natural modifications of layering which we commonly see at various places. First one is a stolon. Stolon is a horizontal shoot which grow laterally. And most important example of stolon is dew grass. If you see dew grass, the various nodes are there, those are stolons. Runners. Runners are the thin stem which develop from the axil of leaves. Means the runners develop from the leaves and they horizontally along the ground. And runners are the method of propagation in strawberry. Suckers are the shoots that develop from the adventitious, they develop from the buds of the root. Suckers can be seen in almost all types of plants. Offset. Offset is a special or small or miniature plant that develops laterally from the base of main stem. That develop from the stem, and if most important example of offset is date palm. If you see a date palm tree, you can see some small plants nearby its stem. Those are offsets. So these are natural modifications or natural means of propagation of some plants, which is a form of layering. Next, लीजिए. Now there are some structures, special structures of the plants. Next slide. Now there are some structures of the plant which can be used as a propagating material also. First one is rhizome. Rhizome is a stem structure and it grows underground in horizontal direction. Ginger and banana is the most important example of rhizome. Corm is also a underground structure and is also a modification of stem, and it grows vertically. Example of corm is colocasia and gladiolus. The main difference between rhizome and corm is rhizome grows horizontally while corm grows vertically. Next part is bulb. Bulb is an underground portion of plant which has a basal plate, and from this basal plate flower primordia means flower stem will emerge. So example of bulb is onion and garlic. Next one is tuber. Tuber is a swollen and modified root or stem structure that function as a storage organ. Means the main function of tuber is to store food for the plant. Potato and sweet potato are the examples of tuber. Potato is a stem tuber, while sweet potato is a root type of tuber. Normally, if someone asks you that tuber is a modification of which part, so generally we say tuber is a modification of stem part. But if we talk particularly about sweet potato or cassava, then tuber, those are modification of roots. And these all parts are modifications of stem. Rhizome, comb, bulb, and tuber. These are all modifications of. They are all from stem portion. Next one important method of asexual propagation is budding. Before knowing about budding, we should know some terms related to budding and grafting. Next slide, Lizzie. Next. First term is scion. Scion is the part of the graft combination or budding combination that becomes the top of the plant. It means the variety which we want to grow, the variety of the fruits of which variety which we want to grow Before knowing about the budding and grafting, we should know some terms which are related to these methods. First one is scion. Scion is the part of the graft combination or the budding combination, which becomes the top of the plant. It means if the variety which we want to grow, this, it is this scion part will be taken from that variety. Rootstock is the lower portion of the graft or budding combination, which will develop into the root system of the resultant grafted plant. Now root stalks are generally grown with seeds, but sometimes they are also produced by layering or micropropagation method. And this root stock is generally selected those species or those plants which are hardy in nature or which are tolerant to adverse climatic conditions. So our resultant grafted plant will also be tolerant to the adverse conditions. Sometimes interstock is also used sometimes when there is incompatibility between scion and rootstock. So a interstock is selected which is compatible to both scion and rootstock, and these are grafted. First, this interstock will be grafted to the rootstock, then it will be grafted to the seed. Vascular cambium. Now, vascular cambium is an important important portion of the plant. It is a tissue located between the bark and wood, and which is responsible for the xylem, for the production of xylem and phloem cells. Callus is a mass of cells that develop from uh, that develops around the founded plant tissue. Now, please come back previous slide. Previous slide, please. Back. Back, back, back. More back. Yes, okay. So now definition of budding as a definition of budding we can say budding is a method of propagation in which a bud of a plant, which is known as name, is grafted or united to the stem of the another plant, which is known as root. In budding method, scion is a single bud with a small section of plant. There are many types of budding, like shield or tea budding, which is the most important type of budding, chip budding, ring budding, and pinch budding. These names are given on the basis of the shape of the shape of cut we are preparing on the root stock. Next, we will understand about this methods in next slide. Next, lady. Next, one more. First and most important type of budding is shield or tea budding. Why it is known as tea budding? Because T-shaped cut is made on the root stock. First, a root stock is selected having a stem of a pencil thickness and two cuts are made on the root stock. Two cuts Two cuts are made on the root stock as shown in the picture, T shape. And after making the cuts, the flap of bark is opened. Then scion is taken as shown in the picture by taking a single bud and a piece of bark, and this scion is inserted into the T-shaped cup which was made on the root stock, as you can see in the picture. And after inserting the scion, it is tied with a grafting tap. After some days, it will emerge, it will emerge new shoots. real photographs of this method you can also see in the right side pictures. And this tea budding is very much important in citrus and rose. Next method of propagation is chip budding. In this chip budding, please next. In chip budding, first we make a cut of chip shape or a chip shaped bars of root stock. First, chip shaped bar of root stock is removed from the root stock. Then a similar piece of bark having a node is removed from the mother plant in the form of scion, and this scion is inserted into the cut which was made on the root stock. As you can see clearly in these pictures, after the uh, scion and root stock unite, they can be tied with a grafting tape or budding tape. Real photographs of this chip budding you can see in the pictures. Next method of budding. Next method of budding is patch budding. Here a patch of square shaped patch of bark is removed from the rootstock. Similar sized bark is taken from the mother plant in the form of scion, and the scion is united with the cut surface on the rootstock. So these methods, the name of these methods are given on the basis of the cuts we are making on the rootstock and the shape of scion we are taking for budding. If we make ring shaped bark is removed and ring shaped bud is taken from mother plant, then it will be known as ring budding. Okay, next. Now, next most important method of propagation is grafting. Grafting is the process by which two living parts are joined in such a way that they would unite and grow into a single plant. And in the method of grafting, scion consists of three or more buds, which is grafted on the root stock or shoot of the root stock. The main difference between budding and grafting is the number of buds. In budding, we take only a single bud, which is united with the root stock, but in grafting, we take a piece of shoot, which contains more than three or more buds. So, main difference between budding and grafting arises here. That in budding, only a single bud is transferred, while in grafting, more than three buds are transferred. So there are two main types of grafting: detached grafting and approach grafting. In detached grafting, scion is first separated from the mother plant, and then it is grafted on the root stock. But on approach grafting, scion is not separated from the mother plant, and whole plant is taken close to the root stock, and then it is grafted with it. Third type of grafting is also there, repair grafting, which is used to repair the damaged portion of the plant. There are various types of detached grafting like whip grafting, tongue grafting, cleft grafting, wedge grafting, veneer grafting, epicotyle grafting, and approach grafting can be done in three ways: slice approach, tongue approach, and inlay approach. Next. Now, the most important thing, the requirement of a successful grafting or budding. What are those requirements? First and most important requirement is that rootstock and scion must be compatible to each other. You cannot graft or bud two incompatible species or two incompatible plants. Like you cannot graft a mango on a guava. Those are incompatible. So the first and most important requirement is that these both should be compatible. Vascular cambium of the Sion should come in direct contact with the vascular cambium of the root. Grafting operation should be done at the time when root and Sion are in proper physiological state. All the cut surfaces must be protected from desiccation, and for a period of time, proper care should be given to the grafted or budded. Next, this is the photo of whip or splice. Next slide. Next slide is showing the photo of whip or splice type of grafting. Next lesion. Next slide. Whip or splice type of grafting can be practiced as shown in the picture. Slanting cut is made on the rootstock, and slanting cut on the below portion is made on the Sion. They both are united. Next, next slide. Next type of grafting is tongue grafting. This is the most important type of grafting, followed in apple and pear. Next slide, Legion. Tongue grafting. Tongue grafting for tongue grafting. First, we have to prepare the rootstock as shown in the picture. First, a slanting cut is made. Then a second cut is also made on the base of first cut, and the shape of rootstock will be as shown in the picture. Similarly, similar to these cuts, same cuts are given to the Sion portion on the lower end, and they should make in such a way that they interlock each other. After interlocking the rootstock and Sion, we can tie them with grafting tape, and we can propagate the new plant as shown in the picture. Next lesion. Next slide. Next slide. This slide is showing the real photographs of grafting operation. First, tongue type of shape of the cuts are made in the rootstock, and both are interlocked. This grafting is the most important method of grafting, or most important method of asexual propagation in apple and pear. Next. Uh, we have seen that in both type of grafting, whip grafting and tongue grafting, the size of rootstock and Sion should be same. That and only when they can unite. Next slide. Next slide. Next type of grafting is cleft grafting and wedge grafting. These two types of grafting are normally followed for top working of trees. Now, what is top working? Again, new term is come. Top working is the method by which we can renew a unproductive plant into a productive by by practicing any of these cleft or wedge grafting. For cleft grafting, we make a split with the help of a saw or a knife, and then one or more Sion sticks are grafted on that cut. In the wedge grafting, V-shaped openings are made in the rootstock, and one or more Sion sticks are grafted on those V-shaped openings. So this can be a technique for top working of trees, by which we can convert a old or unproductive plant into a new plant. And here you can see the size of seed on a root stock is not same. They are different. The root stock is large and seed portion is very small. Next slide. Next is veneer grafting. Veneer grafting is a method of propagation which is followed in mango, particularly mango, and it is done similarly as a tongue grafting. Side of the root stock is cut. Cut is made in this at the side of the root stock, and at that side, a scion having the similar cuts is united or grafted. You can see the veneer grafted mango tree. Last image is the veneer grafted mango. Next, next type of grafting is approach grafting. As I told you earlier, that the scion is not separated from the mother plant. Instead of separation, we uh, we take the mother plant close to the root stock, and then it is both plants are grafted as shown in the picture. And this can be done in three ways. It can be done in by following splice approach grafting, by following tongue grafting approach, or by following inlay grafting as shown in the pictures. And this approach grafting is normally not followed commonly in the fruit crops. Sometimes it is followed for in some fruit trees like apple, guava, and mango. Enarching is also a type of approach grafting which is followed in sapota, jackfruit, and by method of enarching we can also repair the old or damaged trees. Next slide. Next is the repair or bridge grafting. By bridge grafting, as shown in the pictures, the damaged portion of a tree or of a plant can be regenerated. Sometimes our plant trunk becomes damaged due to any of the reason, due to environmental condition or due to age or due to insect damage, and it can be repaired by using this bridge grafting technique. And many more than one scion sticks, more than one scions are grafted on the damaged portion of the root system. Next slide. Now we have talked about grafting in fruit crops. Now grafting is also a method of propagation or a scope of propagation or method of propagation in vegetable crops. Vegetable crops can also be grafted. Mostly solanaceous like tomato and brinjal and cucurbit crops. This can also be propagated by grafting methods. So one cotyledon grafting is a type of width grafting actually, which can be followed, which can be used in cucurbits to propagate. As shown in the picture, why it is called one cotyledon grafting? Because the grafting operation is practiced or is done at the cotyledon stage of the root stock. That's why it's called one cotyledon grafting. At the one cotyledon stage, root scion is grafted on the root stock. Whole insertion grafting is also a method of propagation in vegetable. Cucurbits can be propagated by this method. At the cotyledon stage, in the whole of the rootstock, scion can be inserted and it can develop into a new grafted plant. Next. Robotic grafting, in this picture is shown robotic grafting. Normally, why we do not talk about grafting method in vegetables? Because grafting is a time consuming and labor intensive method which is not so much economical in vegetable crops. It may be beneficial in many ways, like it can produce, we can use uh, high tolerant root stocks, soil for soil-borne diseases or insects, but it is a time-consuming and labor-intensive process. That's why in India, this grafting method of propagation is not so commonly followed in vegetables. But in other developed countries like China and Japan and Korea, vegetables are propagated through grafting also, and they have developed some machineries for that. And this robotic grafting is a picture of grafting procedure which is done by machine or robots. Korea is a Korea and Japan are the two countries which are producing the robotic grafted plants. Okay, next method of propagation is micropropagation, which is the propagation of plants with a very small part of tissue under con- in vitro condition or controlled condition. And this micropropagation is also known as sometimes also known as tissue culture. And the micropropagation is based on the principle of totipotency. Totipotency is the ability of a cell to degenerate into a whole new plant. Every cell of plant has has an ability to regenerate into a new plant. So this um, ability of a cell or a tissue can be used to produce new plants, which is known as micropropagation. And the plant parts which are used as starting material for micropropagation are known as explant, which terms come in many many places we see this term explant. Explant is the starting material of the micropropagation. There are some types of micropropagation like shoot tip, protoplast culture, Taylor's culture, somatic embryogenesis, embryo culture, anther culture, or root culture. These names are given on the basis of which part are we are using for propagation. Like for example, if we are using an embryo for in micropropagation, then it is known as embryo culture. If we are using anther, it is known as anther culture. Protoplast culture is a unique method or a special technique by which we can combine uh, two intergeneric plants also. Protoplast is the cell without cell wall, and two protoplasts of two plants can be united and they can be micropropagated. Next, steps in micropropagation. First step in micropropagation is the selection of mother plant. Next slide is selection of mother plant and isolation of X plant. After isolation of X plant, sterilization will be done. Next slide is first step is in micropropagation is the selection of mother plant and preparation of X plant. Second stage will be the initiation of culture by putting the X plant into a special kind of growth media. Third stage will be proliferation and multiplication, means initiation of shoots. Next stage will be rooting and plant establishment. And for this purpose, rooting can be induced by some growth regulators. Next step will be hardening. Before sending the micropropagated plants, hardening or acclimatization is very much needed to harden the plants or to prepare the plant for the outer conditions. These are the steps. Next, application of micropropagation. The most important benefit or most important advantage of micropropagation is that we can produce a large number of planting material in a short time. We can produce disease-free plants. For virus-free plants, meristem tip culture is normally followed. Meristem tip culture is very much important where virus-free plants have to be produced. There is no time boundation. We can produce the plants year round, and some species are hard to propagate. And for those plant species, this micropropagation is very much beneficial, like orchids. Wild hybridization can be done, and induction and selection of mutants can also be done in micropropagation. Most important limitation in micropropagation is that it is expensive method. It will require a sophisticated laboratory conditions, and the contamination, if contamination happens at any stage of the procedure, it can lead into a high loss. Means the whole load can be contaminated with disease or anything. Okay, next picture is a micropropagation of lychee various, showing the micropropagation of lychee various stages. You can see real photographs of. Next, these are the various stages of micropropagation in fruit plants like lychee. Next slide is telling about the commercial propagation method in the fruit crops. Some fruit crops like papaya, passion fruit are propagated with the seed. Some fruit crops like grape, pomegranate, and fig are propagated with hardwood cutting. Lychee, cherry, and avocado are propagated with air layering. Guava is a method of propagation which is in guava, stooling method of propagation, stooling or mound layering method of propagation is followed. In mango, veneer grafting is followed for commercial purpose. Epicotyle grafting is also a special kind of grafting which is especially followed in mango in Maharashtra, at some regions of Maharashtra. Why it is called epicotyle grafting? Because grafting is done at the epicotyle portion of the root stem. And suckers, offshoots, runners are also some examples in fruit crops, which are the commercial method of propagation. Next. Now, vegetative propagation in vegetables. We all know that normally vegetables are propagated with the seed, but there are some vegetables which are vegetatively propagated, like potato. We propagate it with the help of tubers, and it is a form of stem. Cassava, sweet yams, and cassava and yams are also propagated with tuber, but those are the root tubers. Sweet potato and pointed gourd is propagated with the help of stem cuttings. Garlic is propagated with the cloves or buds. Some pictures of, first picture is the picture of tuber of potato. Second picture is the cutting of sweet potato. The third picture is showing the tubers of cassava, which are the root tubers of cassava, which are used. Next. Next slide. Now, what is the scope of this sector? We can say that there is and there will always be a great scope of this section, because there will always be a demand of plants either the fruit plants or ornamental plants or vegetable plants. So propagation is a section of propagation is that section which is very much important, which is essential part of horticulture. And if we talk about the entrepreneurship in this section, then there is very much scope and there is great scope for entrepreneurship in this section, as one can set up his own nursery unit for the vegetables or for the fruit crops or for the ornamental crops. There is great demand of vegetatively propagated fruit crops like budded or grafted plants in farmers. In case of vegetable, there is good demand of virus and disease-free and good quality seedlings, which can be developed by using the seedless media. In case of ornamentals, there is uh, there is increasing demand of plants of various kinds of ornamentals, because as this pollution and all things are happening, the demand in awareness among the people is also increasing, and the demand of plants, ornamental plants, is also increasing. So there is a great scope for entrepreneurship in this propagation sector. One can another secondly, one can also develop his own micro propagation or tissue culture laboratory, and they can produce plant as per the. So next slide. So thank you very much for listening to me carefully. I have covered all the basic things of the propagation in horticulture, and I would, but this is a very vast topic, which needs to be studied more deeply, and we need to understand the physiology of each type of propagation method to for a better understanding. Thank you very much, and I would like to thank the KN Modi University for giving me this opportunity to deliver a lecture on this topic. Thank you very much.